You're trying to understand what someone believes, even if you're trying to analyze their representations of the world. Should you pay attention to how they act or what they say? And that's a profound question, even from a neurological perspective or a neuropsychological perspective, because the memory system that you use to represent what you say that you believe is not the same memory system that you use to embody your knowledge about action. So it's akin, I would say, to the distinction between telling someone how to ride a bike and knowing how to ride a bike. Those are not the same things. The descriptions don't even really lay very well on top of one another, because you don't actually know how you ride a bike. You just know how to do it. It's built into your physiology, right? It's a skill. And that's called procedural memory. And procedural memory is the same kind of memory that basically structures your perceptions. It's not that you can't orient your perceptions consciously, because you can, but once you've oriented them consciously, say towards some goal, it's automatic procedures that take over, because you really don't know how it is that you organize your senses so that you can pay attention. You just know how to do it. Now, the existentialists believe that actions spoke louder than words, and that if you were interested in belief, and even if you were interested in analyzing belief, that it was better for you to look at how someone acted than what they said. Now, one of the things that you might think with regards to Rogers is that his psychotherapeutic practice would be predicated on the idea that you should bring how you act into alignment with what you say you believe, so that there's no discontinuity between your body, that's one way of thinking about it, and your mind, and so that there are fewer paradoxes in the way that you manifest yourself in the world. So the concentration on action is one of the fundamental characteristics of existentialism. Another one is the insistence upon trouble and suffering as an intrinsic element of human experience. So you could say we could concentrate on subjective experience. What's your life like to you? How do you experience it? And we could say, well, built into that is trouble. Built into that is chaos. Built into that is anxiety and pain and disease, and that you can fall prey to those things without there being something wrong with you. Now, you know, if you pin down a psychoanalyst like Jung or Freud, they would, of course, admit that human misery is endemic to human experience, but Freud in particular tended to look for adult psychopathology in childhood misadventure, in pathological childhood experience. And he at least implicitly claimed that if you hadn't experienced childhood trauma and you had developed properly, that what would happen is that you would end up healthy, roughly speaking, certainly mentally sound. But the existentialists, they don't really buy that perspective right from the beginning. They basically make a different claim, which is that life is so full of intrinsic misery, let's say, but suffering is a better way of thinking about it, suffering that manifests itself as a consequence of your intrinsic vulnerability, that psychopathology is built into the human experience. There's no real way of avoiding it. Or at least, there's no reason to look for extra causes. That might be a better way of thinking about it.